Hello, everyone. My name is Tad Helsley, and welcome to Scandal Sheet. And this is a bonus episode. One of the most anticipated movies of summer 2025 has been the new Superman film, directed by A-lister James Gunn. Now, this movie has just come out in theaters, and we're recording on opening weekend. And despite the fact that rumors were circulating weeks before the release that this movie was going to be a bomb, it has so far exceeded studio expectations, and frankly, everybody's expectations at the box office, with audience polls, and with professional critics. One person who has a different view of this movie is a frequent guest of this podcast and a founding member of the Mets Mob, a popular baseball commentary trio in New York City. We like to call him Rob from the Upper East Side. Women and men who swoon as he strolls by on Park Avenue just call him Handsome Rob. Either way, we are happy to have him back with us today. Welcome back to the pod, Rob.
Thank you, Thad. Wonderful to be here.
Okay, good. So, Rob, this is kind of an emergency bonus little mini cast. Days or weeks before the public opening of Superman, you got an early look at the film at, I imagine, a media screening, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to share with our audience your thoughts on this new Superman movie.
Yes. Now, let me preface it, if the shirt didn't give it away enough. Only one of probably about 3 or 4 shirts, including an embarrassing bathrobe. I'm a huge Superman fan.
Okay, good. I was going to ask you, yeah.
Always have been. So it's one of those things when you walk into the theater to go see it, I'm already halfway there. You've got me. So I'm there because I want to not like this movie. I want to love this movie. And that
well, sometimes the most passionate fans are the ones that end up being critical. And I always remember how passionate people were about the original 3 Star Wars movies. And then a lot of those people, and I was among them, I was like in junior high school or whatever. But then like when the new movies, the prequels came out in the 90s, so many of those passionate fans hated the new movies.
Right.
Where people like new people like my daughter or whatever were like, oh, I think those movies are fine. I don't know what these guys are talking about.
Also what happens is you've got a whole bunch of controversy surrounding this. You've got, on the one hand, you've got the quote-unquote Snyderverse fans who desperately wanted to hate this movie before it came out. I love all things Superman. If you had, Superman Julia Child with her, and maybe I'm, dating myself here, but, if you had a cooking show with someone wearing a Superman shirt, I'm like, I'll watch that. Let's give that a whirl.
Julia Child in a Superman outfit.
Julia Child.
I'm all for that. Rachel Ray, anybody you want. Yeah.
Dating myself. So you had a bunch of those Snyderverse fans who, again, I went to go see that movie, the Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and I wasn't a huge fan of those, unfortunately, as well. Again, I
was going to ask you about what you felt about the other movies, but whenever you get around to it.
Yeah, so I wasn't a huge fan of those. You had Dean Cain, who apparently has, brushed himself off and, taken a break from begging for change in Grand Central to come out and, issue concerns about the movie being woke.
Is Dean Cain in the TV Lois Lane TV series in the 90s?
From the 90s, yeah.
Okay, got it.
So he had concerns about it being woke. It wasn't. It's a Superman movie. Everybody relax. I loved the first Christopher Reeve movie. I loved the second Christopher Reeve movie.
Okay, I was going to ask that. Okay, right.
The third one with Richard Pryor, not too great. The last one, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, awful. But again, I was very much looking forward to this, and with that sneak preview, unfortunately, it wasn't what I'd hoped for.
Well,
Hang
let
on.
me ask you specific. Okay, you got to hang on.
No. Okay.
What? Okay, so were you because I mean, people know that you work at a major media company. Were you there at a media screening? Was that the reason you were there?
A friend of mine had an extra ticket to a
Okay.
screening, and I couldn't be more excited or elated or looking forward to joining and going to see the movie.
Well, okay. So how many weeks ago was that?
So the movie came out this past Friday,
Yeah,
and
officially. Although they
officially,
started showing it on Thursday night, apparently.
right. And what had happened is that they had made a deal with the people that they were the press. That they said, go see the movie, we'll let you see it, but the deal is you don't say anything until I think Thursday night.
Right. It's called an embargo, right? They show everybody early, but you can't release anything. And if you do, you'll never get another preview screening again in your life. So,
Right. So I had seen it earlier in the week. I'd seen it the Monday prior.
oh, you did Monday. Okay.
And I was watching all these YouTube videos and people on Link and check sharing and what's it going to be like? And is it going to be great? And is it going to be terrible? And the interesting thing is I didn't think it was very good, but I didn't want to ruin it for anybody else. And by the way, I mean, since it's come out, the reviews have been, a lot of people are saying, I love it. It's great. The Rotten Tomato score was high.
It was.
A little bit.
It was.
I wonder, so it's made me wonder, did I see a movie that, nobody else did?
Well, one of the things I asked you by text, and so maybe we crossed wires, was it had been reported in some of the major industry rags like Variety and Hollywood Reporter that they had, pardon me?
Are they rags?
Well, that's just the word. But no, they probably aren't even in print anymore. They're just websites. But back in the day when I was in film school, we subscribed to Variety.
Yeah.
But anyways, there was a they do tons of Pasadena, which is like a suburb of Los Angeles, but is sort of supposed to be like the closest thing to Middle America. So they do lots of preview screenings in Pasadena, and they had done one for this. And I don't know how many weeks ago this was, but of course, it was supposed to be a top secret, invitation only or whatever, but did not go over well. The people did not like the movie. And then James Gunn, the director, and everybody else involved ran back, even though we only have X number of days until the thing, and apparently cut out like 20 minutes. Maybe they even reshot some inserts or something like that. But I was wondering whether you saw their original thought, which was going to be the movie that's in the theaters right this second, is the one after the Pasadena screening.
Right. I mean, maybe they cleaned it up in between Monday and Friday. I kind of doubt it when you have a major release like that.
That does sound tight.
Yeah.
But, yeah, probably not. So what you saw? So, just tell us what didn't you like about the? You're a fan of Superman. You've got a bathrobe with a Superman logo.
Bathrobe, T-shirt, the whole 9 yards.
So what did James Gunn do to screw this up? He had a lot of money. He had a lot of time.
So, I've been looking at the reviews since then, and it's some of the things I absolutely agree with. There's way too many characters in this thing. There's a ton of characters. The title of the movie is Superman.
I did. I was listening to a podcast today saying they had an army of people.
There's a ton of people, and so what happens is that this movie is supposed to be about Superman, but you're also, I guess, trying to set up this new DC universe. So you have characters, you have Green Lantern, you have Mr. Terrific.
Right. They are sort of trying to, James Gunn is not just the director of this film, he's also the CEO of DC Studios. Right. So he's trying to reboot the entire franchise for the next 10 years, like Christopher Nolan did to Batman 15 years ago. Yeah.
And I feel like we should have said this. And if you want to go back and re-edit it, or in your official opening and do it, please be clear. there's a ton of spoilers of what we're going to talk about here. So if anybody wants to, not know, come back to this after you see it, and then, see if you agree or disagree. Or
well, can you set a wall and like talk and then say, okay, from here on out, it's spoiler alert? Can you do it that way? Some podcasts do it that way.
Yeah,
can you do it that way? Okay.
Yeah. From here on out, spoilers.
Okay, got it. All right.
So, I mean, the movie, first of all, again, the title of the movie is Superman. It's not the Super Friends. It's not the Justice League. It's not Superman and his amazing friends. It's Superman. That's your lead guy. So that's one. Two, he's Superman. He's supposed to be the most powerful character in all of the DC universe, if not of all superheroes. And he's
like a god. With the exception of Kryptonite, he's basically impervious.
He spends half this movie, I'm exaggerating, but not by much. He spends half the movie getting his ass kicked. So the movie starts with him getting punched out of the sky. And that's the one that everybody saw in the trailer where he's laying.
Yeah, where he's in the snow and he's bleeding and the dog has to come and rescue him and stuff.
The dog has to come and rescue him. So he spends half the movie getting his ass kicked, and then he spends almost the other half of the movie recuperating from getting his ass kicked. Then what happens is that, again, you hear me say it a lot, he's Superman. He's supposed to be saving people. A lot of all those other characters are saving him in this movie. They're helping him out, and without them, if I'm in a situation where I'm falling off a building, I might want Crypto to come save me as opposed to Superman, because
he does a better job. So
the dog barely gets his ass kicked in this movie as opposed to Superman.
Do they explain to you why he gets his ass kicked or how? I mean, is it like Kryptonite City or something?
They show you him in a fight. Well, the opening they don't show you. I don't think. Other than him hitting the ground, but he's constantly relying on other people to help him. So his Fortress of Solitude robots he's constantly relying on, and Crypto and Mr. Terrific, who's a character in the movie. And I think there's a scene where Lois has to save him, and there's just all these things where they have so many people helping Superman, where you're like, he's the guy. He's the one that's supposed to be doing all these things. So you kind of like, it didn't feel like Superman. By the way, the actor, he does a fantastic job. I mean, this guy looks like he just stepped off the comic book pages. So, so it's not him. He does a terrific job. I almost wish that people would forget about Christopher Reeve, because it's, everybody keeps saying, well, he embodies Christopher Reeve and he invokes Christopher Reeve. It's just, enough already. No more Christopher Reeve. Let's move.
Well, they kind of, they use the music, the John Williams music from that movie, and, they slightly change it, but they kind of invoke those memories. And apparently I was looking at the streaming numbers, that old Superman movie from 1978, it's just like 1 billion people have watched it now.
Well, sorry, Crypto wants to get out of the bedroom. Hell yeah.
Hopefully he's not going to drag you to the Fortress of Solitude.
Crypto's like, get me out of here. But that's the other thing. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
They play. They did a variation on the John Williams Superman theme.
Right.
And they play
which just makes my skin tingle, because I saw that movie when I was like in high school and stuff, and I just love that score.
Fantastic music. They play over and over and over and over, and they play like those same 5 chords. So it's imagine you're watching Jaws, and every 10 minutes they're doing every 10 minutes. That's what they're doing here.
Which on Man of Steel, which was 2013, Hans Zimmer came up with something totally different. He didn't try to allude to anything else at all. And of course, it was a very dark vibe. much
So,
different than the
yeah.
original than probably this Superman, but
So
certainly the '78 one.
yeah, and one of the other big problems for me is the CGI.
Hmm.
It varies in quality.
Hmm.
I think again, I know I kept saying, I know I just said, it's going to move past Christopher Reeve, and I meant it. But if you go back to movies from the 70s where it's practical special effects,
Right.
they
Like Jaws. Like Jaws.
like Jaws.
Everything. There was no CGI. It was all practical.
Right, there was a mechanical shark that they put in
Right.
the CGI. Let's put it this way: if you have epileptic issues, this movie might make you insane because there's so much going on with the CG just all over the place that it's just a constant CGI overkill. And
Which was sort of the problem with Man of Steel as well, right? I mean, they
yeah,
destroyed the whole fucking city. I'm sorry, the
right.
whole city while they're fighting, right? It's just like
And Superman never, Superman
pardon
never,
me?
Superman never curses.
Well, it's a good thing I'm a redneck from a trailer park. So,
By the way, that's the other thing, and I have that in my notes. So they have Ma and Pa Kent in here, and
oh, they
Ma
do.
and
Okay,
Kent are from Smallville, and
right
it's they're just good old fashioned country folk
in Kansas. Yeah,
in Kansas, but they pull these two out of there. I think there's a scene where Ma Kent is there's a line something to the effect of like, now Clark, I saw on the box. She's referring to a TD. I saw on the box that you had a horrible fight with on the box. I mean, it's 2025. So it's almost like rural mom pa Kent, where you expect them to start doing a hoedown with like dancing.
well, the original comics were in the '40s, but this takes place in present day, right?
It takes place in the present day.
Okay,
And what they do is that's also the other thing. The obligatory scene with Clark sitting on the front porch with Pa Kent.
I saw that in the trailer. They hug.
Every single movie has done that. They did that.
No. All I know is that you have a reason to be here. Blah blah blah.
Right. They did that in the 70s. They did that with Superman Returns with Brandon Routh. They did it with Henry Cavill in The Man of Steel. Obligatory scene. There's a scene where Superman is fighting the bad guys in a baseball stadium, and they did the baseball stadium in Superman Returns, where he helps the plane that lands. He lands the plane, and the plane's falling out of the sky, so he grabs it and he puts it down.
Right, vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Right, and that plane scene was a takeoff of what happened in 1978. So it just feels like been there, done that. As a Superman fan, I can tell you that there are dozens and dozens of terrific villains in the Superman lexicon, in that they have at their disposal. Lex Luthor again? You're doing Luthor again? Why not?
Right. I was wondering that too. It's just like, I mean, is there nobody else? Come on,
Is there
guys.
nobody else?
I mean, Batman has 20 guys. Why is every single movie has got Lex Luthor?
In the movie, you have Luthor, so it's just like in there, done that, seen that. Can we find any other villain to fill the void?
Well, that did strike me as odd. Yeah,
it's right. So it felt like I'd seen it before. It felt like I can't truly tell you what the story was. I'm not really sure about that.
Really. It was that bewildering. It was so complicated.
Something about Lex Luthor finds a pocket universe and he's creating a prison there, and Superman is held captive in it. He's held prisoner, and Mr. Terrific and Lois Lane have to save him. And another guy, I think it's Metamorpho, I think is the superhero's name. So it's these CGI characters, and it just felt a little bit all over the place. And again, I wanted to love this movie. I really did. I went in there, and what happened is, and I know it's one of the questions that you had for me. and I started the screening at this very small screening. There was about 20 or 25 other people. And
Oh, really? That is small. That is small.
And when the movie was over, people were kind of like shuffling out. And normally when you see a great movie, and you're pumped, there's this enthusiasm, people like, happy and exuberant on the way out the door. And there was just none of that. It was just kind of like very, very quiet, very somber. It was one of those things. So one of the things that happened in the movie, again, spoiler, is that Metropolis, and you see some of this in the trailer. There are like buildings falling over.
Right. No, you do see it. Yeah.
Yeah. There are like buildings coming down.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, New York City where multiple skyscrapers are falling over. And nobody seems really that distraught about it. Like there's a happy ending at the end where, so there's like an upbeat, and there's an after credits scene, and it's supposed to be funny with Superman and Mr. Terrific, and they're looking at this school that didn't fall down, but it got slightly damaged. And you look at this and you're like, this was a movie where realistically, if what we just saw was real world, which again, it's a superhero, but hundreds of thousands of people should have just died. And the catastrophe of this should have been unfathomable. And everybody seems in a pretty upbeat mood at the end of it. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? How is everybody sort of?
Well, and in the Snyderverse, like the first one, that he has that big fight with Zod, and then the second movie, Batman versus Superman, is just what you're saying. The fact that, while you guys were fighting, I mean, why couldn't you go to outer space or something? You actually had to do it right here in the city, and you ended up killing like a gazillion people, you motherfucker, and you're supposed to be a good guy.
No, well, what happened is that so part of what Luthor is doing is tearing the city apart. And Superman is being held prisoner in this interdimensional zone. Let's call it a phantom zone. I'll pull from something from one of the other ones, but from the other movies. But so he's not there the entire time to save Metropolis. And it's just this.
So it's Lex Luthor himself that's doing
Lex
all
Luthor
that.
And it's just people. I mean, it was destruction on just an unfathomable. I know I've used that word a few times. I'm not getting paid per mention of the word.
You're not getting paid at all, so.
Twitter, Hillary. But it didn't ring true. It didn't feel like It didn't feel like to have this upbeat ending was just kind of like wait, what? And so there was that. There was, because there were so many characters, they didn't really develop a lot of the supporting characters. So, for example, you have Perry White, who's one of the staples in the history of Superman.
Runs the Daily Planet, Bear, definitely. Got to have him. And Jimmy Olsen, the photographer.
Well, but Perry White gets like maybe 4 lines of dialogue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and and there's these leaps of logic where Lois is asked to fly. There's another character, like I said, Mr. Terrific, who's in the comic books, and he has this, let's call it a Mr. Terrific plane. It's like a little pod, and she just gets behind the wheel and is suddenly able to fly it. And it's like, wait, what? How can you just all of a sudden you're able to fly this jet when you've never flown? There's just a lot of things that don't ring true, and it takes you out of the movie.
So let me ask you this. Okay, I mean, I'm sure all of that is very, very sincere, and you're obviously a sincere fan of the franchise. But
very much.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, the weekend isn't over, and they're already, breaking records. They made $217 million and all the audience approval ratings and blah, blah, blah. Is everybody delusional? I mean, what do you think? Why do you think the movie is going to crash tomorrow on Monday when the word gets out on social media,
The
or
word,
what's going on?
the word's already out. It's doing well on Rotten Tomatoes. And by the way, I'm thrilled to see that it's doing well because I want more. I want there to be more superhero movies. I'm a super nerd. I want this stuff to keep going. So I couldn't be happier that.
Well, I thought maybe you were a shareholder in Warner Brothers or something.
I wish. But I would guess that. Look, do you like cream corn?
I'm not the cream corn guy. I'm the regular, corn off the cob is more like me.
Me too. I know people that love cream corn.
It's kind of a weirdo concept to me. But although, my mom would like open it out of a can, when we were kids, and I was like,
by the way, Jeremy, we should save this topic for another podcast.
Okay.
I think that would be withering.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my point being is that it's my opinion, and what's the old expression? Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but not their own facts. I didn't like it, and I was very disappointed that I didn't like it. And other people did, and apparently, based on the box office it's doing, a lot of people are seeing it, which is wonderful, and a lot of people are loving it, which is, again, like I said, great, because it means there's going to be more, and hopefully I'm a huge fan of the next one.
Could it be a generational thing? Is it that they're targeting teenagers and 20-somethings and their attitudes versus people more in our age range? You're probably younger than me, but we're more in the same ballpark than like our daughters are, right?
Yeah. By the way, did you say I'm older than you?
No. You're younger, I think.
Oh, because I was going to ask you to say that into my good ear.
The one without the hearing aid. Okay.
And I do need to go shortly because it's been 20 years since I urinated, so I do.
You should have brought that extra Depends. But
no, what I've read. A lot of what I've read is people say this is the most comic book movie, the most comic booky movie that's ever been done. Like it truly feels like a comic book. And I can see that, I can get that, and I don't get me wrong. I'm all about the comic books. I just, for whatever reason, and it's interesting. When I was on my way out, and the buddy that I saw it with, he felt the same way that I did. And we were on our way out. We got into the elevator with the two guys who were actually the projectionists. They're the ones that showed the movie. They're the ones that showed the movie to us. And they just randomly said, "What did you guys think?" And I said,
"Really?"
And I said, "You know what? I wanted to love it. I really did, and I didn't." And they were like, yeah, we kind of feel the same way. So the people that walked out of that, like I said, the people that walked out of that room were feeling deflated or definitely disappointed. I was shocked, just shocked, when I saw all these, again, these videos, these YouTube videos coming out of people who just left the theater and saying, "We just saw it and we loved it. It was super fun. It was super great. It was super enjoyable." No pun intended, I guess. But okay,
Well, you had mentioned, the original Christopher Reeve film, which
Sure.
Today, when I'm reading and stuff like that, it's sort of regarded as a classic. And, part of that may have been the tragedy of Christopher Reeve's, accident and passing and stuff like that may have lent to its legendary status. But, I went back and looked at the reviews from 1978, and, I went to like this midnight screening with a bunch of my friends. It was like a freshman in high school or something like that. And, and I thought it was fine, but there was this expectation because it was written by Mario Puzo, who had just done the Godfather movies and had won Academy Awards.
Yeah.
And he had written the script. And I think there was an expectation on at least a part of the professional reviewers that, okay, well, maybe someone's going to try to do something a little more serious with a cartoon character than, for example, like that '60s Batman TV show,
Right.
which I didn't see it like in prime time when it was out, but they were playing it after school in the '70s,
And of course.
and so I saw them, and it was very, very campy. And
Yep.
then this Superman comes out, and it's got its moments, but they bring in the camp big time. The whole Gene Hackman, Miss Tretmarker, and Lotus, and or whatever his name is. There's just a lot of camp in it too.
Right.
And I think people, at least the reviewers, I was like reading these old 1978 reviews, and they're like, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of fluff. It's just can't. It's exactly like the TV series, the Batman TV series. Back then, that was their viewpoint. Although, when you go and look at the bottom, it's made had like $500 million in 1978 money, which would be like $3 billion today, right? So people did like the movie, even though the critics didn't. But I don't know. It's just some perspective because, and I don't know what the tone of this is. The Man of Steel, which I have seen, was like really, really dark because Christopher Nolan was the producer. So he was doing it like the Dark Knight. He was just making a really dark kind of a serious take on it. No camp whatsoever.
Right.
Which, I don't know. Is this campy?
Which Superman is not. And Gunn got that right.
Okay.
And it's dark where Superman is light. Superman's supposed to be about hope and optimism and good and humanity and all those other things that we're sorely lacking in this world right now. But I digress. But yeah, I mean, look. So the end result is, at least for now, reviews overall seem positive. It's making a ton of money, and I will happily come back and review Superman 2 with you, and then even all of the other DC movies that come out as a result of this universe, which is obviously meant to start and have a lot of spin-offs from it and characters and cameos.
Yeah, they're trying to do what the Marvel guys did very successfully.
Like, again, I said spoiler a long time ago, Supergirl is in the movie at the very end.
Yeah, she's got her own movie coming up too, I think. I heard someone say.
It turns out the Crypto is actually her dog, and Superman was watching.
Oh, okay.
Crypto. Yeah.
It sounds like a bad porno movie, but whatever you say.
Your kids at home.
Your kids at home. We're creeping out here.
That's right. My review. That's my take.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Handsome Rob from the Upper East Side. Glad he could join us. We're going to try to just get this out here and maybe stir up some conversation because we had planned to do, which Rob may join us, we had planned to do a movie about the whole Superman franchise, not just this movie, but everything, going back to the comic books, what it means for America, whatever. And hopefully we can do that, in the next couple of weeks. We wanted to let the movie sort of settle in and see, whether people liked it or hated it or whatever. But anyway, so I invite everybody to join us for that because I think it'd be a great conversation because Superman is like the only hero that's really sort of overtly patriotic, red, white, and blue, truth, justice, and the America. Batman is kind of dark. I mean, Spider-Man doesn't even mention, America. I mean, he's the only guy that really, I'm sorry, Captain America.
Yes.
Another guy from the 40s. Another guy who was invented in the 40s.
Red, white, and blue, and no orange. What?
All right, man. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rob from the Upper East Side. Woo!
Hey.